I bid you all good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins, bringing you once again, a very sad New Zealand housing update. Now, guys, if you're just new to the channel or this video's been shared to you, I've been covering the New Zealand housing crisis for many years now. So let's go back over a couple of videos here real quick before we go into today's headlines. And I'm really teed off that it took them till that motto they say, well, I finally got an alarm for my car. My car's been stolen 3 times. But I finally got an alarm for it. Why wouldn't you put an alarm the first time on your car so it wouldn't have to be stolen 3 times? So this is the problem here we're having with the New Zealand, Australia, everywhere else, anywhere in the Commonwealth, English-speaking countries, with their open markets and free markets, have sold out to the rich Chinese investors. And where is it leaving them? Absolutely nowhere. And divide, and dividing the actual local populations by whatever they want to divide it by. I'm not going to say it here on the channel because my channel will probably get shut down. But while the foreign investing continues and money laundering, billions of dollars laundered through New Zealand, but that's okay because everyone's fighting over what bathroom they're allowed to use. And so this is a big one. Economic takeover. Smartest takeover. You destroy the populations with opioids and fentanyls and all kinds of crap. And then you win the war. So anyways, guys, here it is, guys. New Zealand housing, don't buy anything. This is from a year ago. Quite a few people messaged me from this and saying, Mike, I saw this video and I was going to buy, right now I'd be in a world of hurt. My house would probably be worth $3,000 or $10,000 more today, but I'd be in so much debt trying to keep it afloat. Oh, so you would have been up today, but technically you would have been negative because the cost of maintaining $1 million RV would put you under. Yeah, I think that would happen. Yes, that's correct. So New Zealand house prices flat 7 months ago. New Zealand poverty crisis 3 months ago. Housing deception in New Zealand. Watch this one. Housing deception in New Zealand is really good. These videos don't get out, guys. Get out and get these videos immediately out there. Canada and New Zealand versus New Zealand housing destruction. New Zealand housing crisis, portable homes and new boom. So people resorted to living in 100 square foot. That's not even 100 square feet. That's like 10 square feet because the guy's legs go in this thing here so he could lie there and close this on the sides. That's not a house. I'm sorry. Is New Zealand xenophobic? Housing crisis. Top New Zealand most affordable cities. New Zealand foreign buyers dry up. New Zealand housing market severely unaffordable. New Zealand, there's one back here I did watch. New Zealand housing crisis, you better watch this video. And that has to do with a lot of money laundering. New Zealand now hates me. So I was getting messages from people that hate me down in New Zealand because I'm making housing videos. New Zealand discusses housing crisis. New Zealand foreign buyers ban is working. New Zealand housing declined 25%. That was 2 years ago. New Zealanders going to retirement with a mortgage. That's nothing new, but still. There's one here from many years back I did. Look at this one. Housing crisis in New Zealand edition 3 years ago, and I haven't lived in this place, the background here, in 4. Because this week actually makes my 4-year anniversary living where I am here. So this could have been done even months before because there's no snow on the ground, so it would have been even further back. So New Zealand housing crisis talk, New Zealand housing crisis scandal. Sleeping pods 8 to a room. New Zealand wins. New Zealanders living in trees and carports. There's so much. I have look, Auckland housing ripoff. You gotta watch that one too, guys. You have no idea. Go to my channel. Go to the little magnifying glass on my channel and search my channel. Just type in your country name, and I'm pretty sure you'd find something. Okay. So what is going on? So we've been talking about this, and this is what makes me so mad. New Zealand's housing crisis, the struggle to make rent. So now, okay, we were talking years ago about the New Zealand proper getting into their own housing market and competing with foreign investing. Now it's gotten to the point where they can't afford What? And now it's skyrocketing housing insurances and skyrocketing rents because people have to take a refinance and restructure these multi-million-dollar mortgages they got on a house that's realistically worth, I don't know, $65,000 in Houston, Texas? So the same house is $65,000 in Houston with probably a potential ample amount of jobs, where in New Zealand, that same house is probably $1.4 million. And in the one in Houston, you get a pool probably and a bit of land too. So this is a huge scandal. So here it is. New Zealanders are grappling with increasing rents, homelessness, and overcrowding are suffering through human rights crisis, according to a United Nations expert. So somebody went in, assessed the situation, and said, what the heck is going on here? Well, with the amount of New Zealanders sleeping rough in cars, carports, in trees, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. One of these struggling is Key Allen Ann Adams, who lives in Upper Hutt House with her teenage daughter in Duncoley, paying $500 a week in rent. So let's get our trusty calculator here out, guys. Sorry, guys. $500 a week. So you do it like this. 500 times 52 divided by 12. She's paying $2,166 a month for rent. Wow. What's an upper hut in an upper hut? So it's like, I guess, like a room or upper room or something. $2,166. I can't afford it. I just can't. I'm drowning at the moment with lack of money, Adams told NewsHub. For the first time in her life, she says she had to use a food bank. Well, that's nothing new. Food banks are outnumbering restaurants now in New Zealand, and food banks are outnumbering McDonald's is in London, England. It's been embarrassing, to be honest. I broke down the other day because I had no gas in my car. It's hard. United Nations special reporter on housing, Farah, her name's Lena Farah, says it's worse than housing crisis. What you have happening here is a human rights crisis, she said on Wednesday. It's damn right it's a human rights crisis. And I've been saying this. When you open your border to free trade, people aren't going to come and open companies. They're just going to come and buy up your real estate. They're going to come and park their money in your country. And no, it's not the Portuguese that's doing it. It's not the French. It's not the Brazilians from Portuguese America. It's not the Americans doing it. Because I know Americans, if they go to New Zealand, or Canadians, they go there and they stay there. They stay there, they work, or if they're retired, they spend their money in the country. They don't leave a million empty homes littered across the country. Human rights has impacted the most marginalized, including Maori, Pacifica, those in the LGBT community, immigrants, single parents, and people with disabilities the greatest. It's not just them, it's everybody. Oh, Mike, I own my house in New Zealand now for 2 years. Well, that's great. You bought at the top. Congratulations. Because there will be a correction in these countries. And when this correction does come, I've been trying to predict corrections in these countries for years. Like, you can't. You can't stop the money laundering. You can't stop all this crap. If the rules went how they are according to me, like if I come here to Canada and money launder, I'd be in a jail cell and I'd be made an example of. They'll be showing me my picture, everything showing me money laundering. But because it's not me doing it, they can't really do nothing about it, right? Right. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern defended the government's record on Wednesday when faced with questions over whether she allowed human rights crisis of significant proportions to continue under her watch. Absolutely not. From the moment we took office, we worked to reverse the housing crisis we inherited, Ardern said. She didn't inherit the housing crisis. She came in with Phil Twyford. They tried the whole Kiwi build crap to build 1 million, or was it 1 million homes? 100,000 or whatever. They ended up building 16 homes. It's not working, okay? So they're losing money. And the problem is that we got into a point where these countries don't produce anything anymore, right? They just repair junk from China. It's almost like these countries are becoming huge scrapyards of Chinese junk and, scrounging for parts to fix other stuff. It's getting really bad. Farah's reporter argues that the government should increase benefits to cover the cost of living, enshrine the right of housing in law to introduce a capital gains tax. Here, you want to fix this problem, guys? Well, here goes. I'm going to give you guys some tips here. 1, vacant home tax. Do what Paris did. They're charging like 22% of the house value every year. And if they lie and you send around people to go check, then you just repossess the property. Right now, in France, with the Gilets jaunes movement there, guess what's happened? People have been moving into foreign homes that are foreign-owned that have been empty for ages, moving in, calling the locksmith, I want to change my lock's broken. Come in, they change the locks, they don't even ask for ID. They go to the electricity and water company, I want to hook up this in the house. The electricity company doesn't ask them, did you steal that house? No. People have been living now a year, 2 years in homes that were foreign invested owned. No one's come to claim them. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not promoting that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that's how bad it's gotten in France. Farah's report argues that government should increase benefits. It's not increasing benefits, guys. It's 1, slapping an empty home ban. Okay? For 1, send out a census. Send out a housing census to find out which homes are even hooked up. Which homes are hooked up to utilities. Go from there. 2nd, send out a mass mailer. If they don't reply in 60 days, so send out a mass mailer. If they don't reply in 30 days, send another one out to the addresses that did not reply, and then go ahead and start sending a vacant home tax into law, but a high one, like 21% of the property value every year. Then from there, you go ahead and you imply they've already banned foreign buyers from buying, and that's already stabilized the market. But it's stabilized it to a point where stagnation's kicking in, where unemployment's going up, and the cost of goods are going up. So it's not moving anywhere. So it's turning into a zombie nation like Japan. Heck, it's probably been like that for the last 3 years and 4 years in New Zealand. So introduce a capital gains tax. I would go after the culprits who actually economically bought out these countries, and make them pay for it. France did it. The government was on the defensive in Parliament, continuing to blame former national-led government for the housing crisis. Former national-led government for the housing crisis. If the government built houses at the rate this government, we would not have a wait list we currently have, Ardeen said in the House. You can read more about it in the United Nations report, Housing Crisis. Well, we got more articles on this. So let me go to the France. So people in New Zealand could learn this. I've already brought this up many times. Here it is, guys. And it's very well written, too. It's an older article. Vacant homes are a global epidemic, and Paris is fighting it with a 60% tax. Woo! That's what you need to take back your country. Runaway real estate speculation has been filing global capitals with vacant homes, creating artificial shortages. So, Mike, it's the locals, too, that are... How many local people buy a house and leave it empty? I don't think so. I beg to differ. In the world's most sought-after cities, the shortage has made local homeowners wealthy overnight, but it comes to the cost of turning lively cities into empty shells. The city of Paris has decided it has had enough and implemented a tax in 2015. They didn't quite get the results they wanted, so they're now tripling it to 60%. 107,000 empty homes, and they're saying 40,000 of those vacant homes are not connected to the grid. So just send out a mailer. It doesn't cost much. It shouldn't cost. Nowadays, we're entering that level of government where, it's going to cost us $50 million to send out leaflets. No, it doesn't. Stay away from the bureaucracy. Do it under the table if you have to, okay? Because I'm not $50 million to send out leaflets. No, I mean, you guys know where this is going, right? So let's go here. New Zealand's housing problem, human rights crisis is significant proportions, United Nations expert. United Nations special reporter On the right to housing, we already read that. When 1 in every 100 people is homeless, that's the problem right there. Half of women under 25 years, when thousands are living in vehicles or house or a house or vehicles or house in motels provided by the state, when houses are in such disrepair, black mold and meth testing homes and stuff, they cause otherwise preventable illness and disease. And when the middle income earners, and we're not talking about low income or middle average income earners can't afford, same thing in Canada and in Australia, it's the same thing, guys, are finding it difficult to afford and access and rent a home, the result is just not a housing crisis, it's a human rights crisis of significant proportions. Oh my God, she wrote. These conditions indicate not only violations of the right to housing, but also the right to health, security, and life. Forrest said in the root issues was speculative housing market had been supported by a successive government. So they're all blaming the former, administrations for their problems, right? Like you got the former presidents of the United States, the former president, boasting that the economy is because of him. So I beg to differ, right? No, it doesn't matter who you put in power. Who would you prefer to be the prime minister after the election? It doesn't matter. None of them will tackle the issues at hand. They'll go up there and the debate will be like Canada's debate. Global warming pipeline, global warming pipeline, global warming pipeline, global warming pipeline. That's the Canadian debates. No one's talking about the opioid crisis, fentanyl crisis, homeless crisis, housing crisis, the economic war we're in, economic buyout. We're in an economic buyout, and this is the most clever way to have war against the country is to economically buy out their housing, economically buy out everything they have. Their waterworks, their electrical companies buy out everything. And what? The greedy or corrupt politicians have taken pleasure to this because it just widens their pockets and it impoverishes the locals. UN housing expert calls for New Zealand rent freeze. CGT ended significant human rights crisis. So here it is again, same thing. I think I even used this photo in one of. I think I even used this photo here in one of my videos. Watch this. No, it's not that one. New Zealand. I remember that one. It's not. This is. Oh, Mike. You know what's fair then? Everybody, no. Give people free houses. No. Give people the right to be productive again. Give people the right. Create, instead of the governments in putting money into these bizarro things they're doing and fighting over which bathrooms I'm allowed to use and creating policies and laws with taxpayers' money, they should honestly, strongly consider, in my opinion, putting the money in the hands of workers, letting people expand into private sector business, not public. Public sector could go straight to hell because all you're doing is you're putting a stringe or a damage. Look at this, New Zealand housing. There's so many videos I've did over the years for you guys because I knew this was coming many years ago. I could foresee it. I don't get any of the, other channels with a lot more bigger followings get all the, with making videos 8 months ago, 6 months ago, are getting all the, are getting the, oh God, I'm so out of it this morning. But they're getting all the views, they're getting all the respect and stuff. But I've been talking about this for years. They allowed the perfect storm. UN experts damns New Zealand's housing crisis. So you go back to my channel, Perfect Storm. I actually coined that many years ago, and it's been getting out, but it's good. It's really good. Here it is. Trends in the housing market, Perfect Storm. Perfect Storm, Australia's economic perfect storm. They go back years. Just, yeah. So, guys, share this video, right? Please. They allowed the perfect storm. The UN expert damns New Zealand's housing crisis. This housing crisis stems to a lot of things. It stops people from getting married. It stops people from laying roots. It stops people from repopulating because they don't have the proper essentials of a stable foundation to raise a family. And what happens? They bring in more people with money. And it's not just New Zealand. Canada's been doing it too. And so has Australia and the UK. And Western United States has been doing it. And New York have been bringing in wealthy investors to prop up the housing market. You go here, it tells you where, right here. Los Angeles, all these cities here are predominantly Chinese investors. The Chinese predominantly own billions of dollars of real estate in London, New York City, Hong Kong, Paris, Singapore, Sydney, Toronto, Vancouver, San Francisco, Los Angeles. All these cities are predominantly Chinese, right? And, oh, Mike, stop picking on the Chinese. I'm not picking on the Chinese. This is an economic takeover. If it was the Russians, I'd be saying, guys, look what the Russians are doing. If it was the Portuguese, my own culture, I would even say, look what the Portuguese have been up to. I would wholeheartedly say that. Because what's happening isn't right. Because, no, oh, Mike, but they have money and these people don't have money. It doesn't work like that. Because now these countries start turning into the countries people are leaving and fleeing from and parking their money in other countries. I don't blame people for parking their money in other countries and what's happening in China. I don't blame them for that. I don't. You know? My ex-girlfriend was from mainland China, and she told me but she wasn't, she came from a well-off family, but she told me what the struggles are in China, the allows and do's and do nots allowed to do, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not picking on the Chinese. The problem is it's the Chinese that probably, they know they're doing it in a way, but they need to look out for themselves. But it's our governments that are not looking out for us. That is the big problema here, my friends. This is a big problema. Here we go in Melbourne, Toronto. Oh, here we go. In Melbourne, Toronto, London, and Dublin, the skies above are filled with cranes, Farah said, soaring across the skylines, construct new homes for their booming populations. What booming? Nobody's having children. We already went over this the other day. On the channel. Right? We went over this the other day. Let's go to videos. Look at these videos, guys. Mike in the Night last night. Gold smashes 1,600. Considering co-ownership, don't do that. BC's population grew by 70,000 last year. But everyone's leaving because no one could afford to live here, right? Australia's new dark age. I'm calling this Australia's new dark age because they're resorting back to using coal again. Like absolute. China's suffering shortage of workers. Japan GDP report is go look at Japan's release their new GDP report and their numbers. So go take a look at that and see what's going on. Yeah, that's New Zealand could just look over the pond. Well, look over northeast a bit and see what Japan's up to, and you could see your future right there. Zombie economy. China's risky business. Swiss chalet closed. What else we got? Amazon cutting partners. Condo developers foreclosing. So, something needs to happen. I recommend that first things first, they start finding out who's in the country, who owns what. Second, implementing a foreign and empty home tax. Third, finding out where the money came from to buy these properties, and if it was through illegal means or money laundering. You got about $22 billion, $30 billion laundered through New Zealand, right? Find out who, and then start doing search and seizures. And then start allocating homes, and then start redistribution of homes, because there's too many empty homes in New Zealand boarded up, and ones with Christmas decorations that have been sitting there for the last 30 years. Just the same Christmas decorations, or the year of the horse or something still sitting on the door. So I'm just telling you guys, like, let's start really, calling a spade here, and start really moving steps forward. Do that, and then I would recommend that private sector jobs become the high demand. And no, not letting foreign investors create private sector jobs, because then they just hire their own people. So like that BC mine in Canada. Here it is. There we go. One of our biggest coal mines. No Canadian hires for 4 years at BC owns mine. So that's what will happen. So don't even bother with that. So you need to invest in your people. New Zealand needs to create some sort of niche in the market. New Zealand needs to do that. New Zealand needs to, whether they start, a good thing would be to start huge manufacturing of water filtration systems. Open up a scientific lab, like just for studying water filtration systems. I'm not kidding. And making it better and charging what it should be worth for quality products. Water filtration products in ceramics, because people are tired of that plastic crap and the CPVs or whatever in the plastics and destroying fertilization and stuff in men. I would honestly start looking at ceramic-based water filtration systems. I'd be honestly looking at New Zealand being and then creating water pools, filtration systems. Water is becoming a higher and higher commodity. People, fresh water. I'd actually patent a new life straw, maybe kind of like a life straw. New Zealand maybe could be the water filtration capital of the Commonwealth, where all your water filtration needs and goods could be manufactured, assembled in New Zealand with quality. You know, maybe create a life straw out of clay. You know, like ceramics. So yes, it's perviant to be broken, but it's using the right materials. There's all kinds of stuff. Like water filtration would be good. And then what they could do is even create a water desalination plant in New Zealand to start packaging water and sending it out through the country. And not only that, and then selling it to other countries. Because water is a high commodity. Why not make money off it instead of just giving it away on cents to the dollar like Australia's been doing? Selling off their water to, what is that, Indonesia? Is it Indonesia they were? But through a Canadian backed securities or something. Like, what the heck is going on? Guys need to start taking their country back and start taking it back where it hurts them the hardest. And it's not by being violent. It's about hitting their pocketbook. And that's how you get back. And that's how you create a form of correction in these countries, a form of stability. That needs to happen, guys. Anyways, guys, share this video, please. Get it out there. Let people know, you know. I'm grateful that other videos are being made and stuff, and other channels are coming out and about and doing things and doing the right thing and just discussing these issues. We're discussing these issues, right? There shouldn't be any problem with what I'm saying, right? There shouldn't be any problem. Nobody should have any problem with anything because this is what we have to deal with, and this is the facts. It's a massive economic takeover. It's happening in the Commonwealth, and these three nations or open free markets are destroying our way of life, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time to watch this transmission. Share, and if you ever want to, join the channel right here. Join the channel, become a member of the channel, and support the cause. Thanks for watching. Mike Martins here. Share this video. Get it out.